Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's video. Now this is a special one. I have not posted videos for the past 2 weeks, so I'm returning, and that's because I recently moved to a new city. And that is what has inspired this week's video. Now that I'm in a new location, I'm going to have to go back and sort of start from scratch in building out which craft fairs that I want to attend this particular year. And I know scams are on people's minds. They're always worried that they're going to end up paying booth fees for non-existent events. Anyway, I thought that I would kind of talk you through what my process is and when I'm looking at events. And hopefully there's some ideas that will help you, even if you haven't moved, in picking events. Because, well, I have some thoughts. Hey everybody, it's Bill here from Craft Fair Insider, and I have been selling at both in-person craft fairs and online since around 2016, and I'm taking some of my, things that I've not done well and things that I think I've done well over the years and just sharing it with you as my community. So welcome aboard. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like this video and subscribe so that you can see new videos as they are released. That will very much help my channel and hopefully will help as many vendors out there as possible that are maybe newer to doing in-person craft fairs. So the topic today is picking new craft fairs to vend at, which even for seasoned vendors, that's still something that you're going to have to do occasionally. Maybe one will end or it becomes no longer profitable for you and you have to fill that void. In my case, brand new city, so I'm pretty much starting mostly from scratch. I do have a couple that were sort of in the middle between where I used to live and where I live now, so I'm going to keep a couple of them and see if the travel time drives me crazy or not, but a big chunk of them are going to be new ones for me. So some of the scams that are out there are fake Facebook events, or more so somebody impersonating an organizer. So they might take a real event, like a flyer off of somebody's Facebook event, and then change the contact information from that event, or change the payment information on that event, and they will then go out and try and get people to sign up paying them for an event that they have no affiliation with. Sometimes it could be a non-existent expo or pop-up or something like that, where maybe the individual has picked a parking lot, a field, a park, something like that, and that they've been getting vendors to go to the event, but when you actually go and show up, it hasn't been advertised, so there's no buyers there. Maybe the organizer isn't present, so they don't have anything laid out, and it's like a free-for-all. That's unfortunate there. And then the ever popular, too good to be true, $25 fee for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people coming to buy your goods. If you always want to trust your gut. If something feels icky or too good to be true, it probably is. So the way I approach looking at events is sort of, I guess I start the same way attendees do it, where I'll do a search for craft fairs near me, and I'm setting aside any new events, any first year events. That's a whole different topic. What I'm going to be talking about here is something that is a long-standing, multi-year event. because there's some key information you're going to be able to get from previous events. Um, and I know if you go back and watch my video on not all craft fairs are created equal, there's a wide variety of sizes, locations, engagement with organizers. So it makes broad advice a little bit trickier, but overall, um, if there you want to look for multiple places that the event exists on. By multiple places, I mean hopefully a website. Do they have Instagram in addition to Facebook? Anything like that, because if you can look at last year's event, and you see this a lot where a promoter will be coming around and they will be taking pictures of the event, even if it's the streets, that's fine because that'll give you a sense as to how many people were at the event or the booths or things like that. The more documentation that you have for the previous events, the better and safer it's going to be for you to join something like that. It'll also give you a sense as to whether you think the dollar amount is going to fit the event, so it comes in really handy. If it is only a Facebook event and it's off of a personal page, that's when I start thinking like red flags are going up. Is this really, is it a real event, or is it just, I don't know, Tina making this up and trying to collect money? Unfortunately, you can't look at the professionalism or prettiness of a flyer to determine whether the event is good or not, because it's all based on the skill of the promoter. And sometimes it's a volunteer, it's somebody on the PTA, it is somebody in the church congregation who is willing to do it, not their profession, and they just do what they think, the best they can, put together what they think is as a cute flyer. And sometimes you have some events that have an actual team dedicated. Maybe they do multiple events throughout the year, and they have a graphic designer on staff or working with them that will do a more professional looking flyer. It just depends, and those are the groups that also have a website. The key also is, do they post who attended last year? Is there a vendor list? Because you can always reach out to vendors and say, hey, I'm looking at this event. I saw you were at it last year. Can you just tell me what your experience was with it? Maybe they individually did badly, but if it was attended somewhat well, if it was somewhat organized, maybe your products are going to be different than what they sold, and it's going to be a completely different experience for you. But at least you're validating that it's real, it existed, and some people showed up for that. The more pushy the person, you only have one table left. You got to sign up now. You got to send your money now. You got to send your money now. The pushier they are that way, most likely we're leaning towards scam town. There's always, poor grammar and typos in communications. If it's somebody maybe, let's say out of the country who's trying to scam you, but most likely it's just somebody who needs to find something better to do with their lives, unfortunately. The other key is strange payment methods. If they're only accepting things like Cash App or Venmo. If you don't know the person, if you have not attended an event that's theirs in the past, they should be able to take a credit card. They should be able to take, even PayPal has more protection for you than the cash transactions. Again, it's one of the reasons why I don't accept it for payments at my booth. And I know I've had people come at me before about that, but I still do, credit debit through Square. That's those are my payments. Um, but if they want to, especially Cash App, you don't want to pay off a Cash App because very few people uh, will transact business that way. There are certain payment processing methods that are prone to these kinds of scams that are not meant to be for businesses with their protection, and that's what they use, unfortunately. Um, so you can look up if there's a name of the company, like Big Top Events. You could look and see what other ones that they've done. Uh, maybe, maybe they've done a spring one, a Christmas one, and now they're introducing, let's say, a Halloween one, but it's part of their repertoire, and you see that the other events have taken place, and again, have photos, and you can see that they actually happened. The more historical information, I'm going to say it a couple times, the more historical information you can have about past events, the better it is going to be for you. And if you can independently, not just on Facebook, but in other ways, if you can make sure that, oh, this flyer says and this Facebook post says Sally is the coordinator, if you can independently verify that somewhere else, that Sally is really the event coordinator or the contact person, that's really important. Because unfortunately, what some people will do is, once a craft fair, especially a popular one, fills up and it's like we're no longer accepting vendors, some scammers may take that information, like I said before, change the contact, and then say, hey, we're still accepting vendors, send in your money, unfortunately. So if you are going to reach out to somebody, if it's a juried show, maybe there is a contract that you can get to sign, which gives all the information about cancellation policies, rain dates, any other thing like that. That would be a good thing to look into. You can ask them what the attendance has been. They should be able to answer that. And then does it kind of match up with the photos that you've seen for that particular event in the past? Are they in places that you can sort of easily identify and validate that it's at? So I have one event coming up that is at a hotel convention center kind of thing. I'll just say it's Marriott. I don't know if that's right or not, but using it as an example. So I could call the Marriott and say, hey, on this weekend, do you have XYZ event? And is the contact person Sally? Or you can contact a school, convention center, anything like that, arenas, churches. You can just look up their number on Google, contact the church directly, and just cross-reference as much as possible. Most of these events have pretty big windows where they are accepting applications. Now there are certain ones that fill up very quickly and it may be difficult to get into, but those are also ones you could very easily identify. So back to the rushing, if you're feeling pushed into it or rushed into it, that's a red flag, and you want to avoid that. Because of that, generally speaking, longer tailwind of response time and review time. There isn't a surefire way of ensuring that you're never going to get scammed. One of the reasons that I didn't want to talk about first-time events is it could, I guess some people might consider it to be a scam, but it could just be too new and poorly run. there's a difference between a bad event and a scam event. And I think over time, even I'm going to fall victim to a bad event where things look good up front on paper, and then as you get closer to the event, you're noticing maybe not so much of a promotion going on, or uh, less things are really materializing. Um, but then you get there and the event happens and it's okay, not great, it's okay. You you don't want to be at an event and you show up and everybody's standing around like, okay, what space do I get? And then everybody's trying to figure out themselves how to set up, and then you finally do, and there's crickets. There's not a single attendee out there to shop. Um, it's it's unfortunate that that's the case, because I think depending on the area that you're in, there could be fewer craft fairs or there could just be a lot of craft fairs. And I think the more craft fairs exist, the more likely you're going to have some scammers, because it's harder to tell what's real and what's not when you have all these events going on, unfortunately. So I'm going to be going through. I do belong to a couple Facebook groups that are, region specific for Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania has like Eastern, Central, Western, because it's such a long state, and they kind of break it down, or in some cases by county. So like Bucks and Montgomery County might be together, but the distance between that, it could take you 2 hours to get from one end to the other. So it is a wide bit of an area. So I will be looking at the local call for vendors is usually what's in the name for it on Facebook, along with the state or states that you're looking for. You can do Google searches for craft fairs near me and just see what's coming up or what came up last year, and then try to find out if the event is going to be repeated again this year and what the window is for those events. Um, I still think Facebook is one of the better ones. There are a couple websites that are out there that list events, but generally they are the much bigger, more art fair kind of thing. There was one that was recommended to me recently. I wish I had it. And when I searched for events in my area, there were like 2 or 3 that came up, but I know there's a lot more. So I think, again, Google and Facebook events are sort of the way to go to find out what's around you. You can also post to a lot of cities have like in Philadelphia, there was a lot of like community Facebook groups, folks that live in this neighborhood. And you can always ask in there, hey, do you guys go to craft fairs yourselves? And what's some of your favorites? And see what people come back with. And then you can research it out from there. Because at least that's not coming from a promoter, but it's coming from people that enjoy it, go to that event, and will probably go again. And then the last one, and I saved, I think, the best for last, so hopefully you're still listening, watching. Some of my best events have been recommended by other vendors at craft fairs I've attended. Other vendors are probably your best resource, the good, the bad, the ugly. They will let you know why they didn't like a particular event. I went to one event, I guess it was about 2 years ago. It was well advertised, but it was more of a bring your kids to see Santa kind of event. And they squished all of the vendors in super tight into a banquet hall. But the part that really got me was, in order to get into the banquet hall, you had to go up about 4 or 5 steps. And that was really difficult to wheel my items in. And you can see I'm a little bit of a bigger guy, so it was a little bit harder for me to lift all this stuff up in and then take it to my spot. And none of that was spelled out. The event that I'm going to, that I have just confirmed, they've actually said in there, no stairs, automatic sliding door, so it's an easy load in for the event, and I'm excited for that. Uh, I have my my wagon that I can just wheel everything in if those doors open and I just get to my spot. Cannot be happier or something like that. So if there are either red flags that I haven't talked about that you think are important, or maybe you have some other tips or ways in which that you can find events in your area, please add it to the comments. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. And thank you very much for listening to this week's video, and good luck out there.